So thank you all for coming today. We really appreciate it. We know that taking time away from work is always a commitment, and we're just extremely happy you could make it and have a chance to listen to Mark Templeton and give us a vision of what he sees as the future. So my name is Nick Cephas. I'm Executive Vice President with EDCi. We want to do some brief introductions because typically when we put on these events, we have a lot of customers come that are not customers of EDCi. So we'd like to give you a brief introduction to us. But before we start, for everyone, we know that in IT there are emergencies that come up all the time. If you could please silence cell phones would be great. If you have to take a call, please step out of the room. We understand that that can be an important thing for you. The other thing I wanted to do, if I could, is I could just have all the EDCi people stand up. If you have any questions throughout the event, there are people that will be here to help represent all the different divisions. I also want to recognize Sarah Higgins, who's from our sister company, Electroline. So anything we can do to help during the presentation, please let us know. I think Kim told you this. Lunch is next door, so when we finish up the presentation here, we'll head right next door. Restrooms are out down the hall all the way to the end. And please, as you're leaving, we have a parting EDCi gift on the table. Please grab one on your way out just to remember the event. So at EDCi, what we really try and do is specialize in bringing the business all together. We all talk about IT every single day, but IT only fuels the business. So when you take a look at what we do, we try and take a look at the business issues and relate IT to them as opposed to, hey, let's all talk bits and bytes, feeds and speeds, and how that's going to work. So when we look at EDCi, we really look at ourselves as 4 different practices. We start with a data center practice, we have a virtualization practice, a call center practice, and then an IT staffing business. When we break these down for you, we tend to look at ourselves in these practices to be experts as opposed to generalists. So if you talk about what happens in the world, everybody handles everything. We try not to do that. In our world, in the infrastructure space, routing, switching, wireless, we have a great portfolio of Cisco. We're a silver partner for Cisco, and we work very closely with them. In regards to the processing storage space, we work with IBM. We're one of their 5th largest dealers in the Midwest. So we really take a look from a holistic view as how are we going to deliver that solution as opposed to looking at point solutions. Within our data center practice, we also do telephony. This would be a Cisco line of IP telephony, and see that as now nothing more than an application on your network. So as we move forward and telephony becomes more pervasive, it really is moving in the collaboration space, which is the video conferencing piece, data sharing, screen sharing, conferencing, all those fun things. When we look at our contact center practice, this is really an area where we look at, again, efficiencies and how are we going to drive people and contact centers to be much more efficient. We're the 4th largest interactive intelligence vendor in the country. Work very hard, again, to look at what processes you have, how we're going to drive those processes to be more efficient. And this has been a big focus area for us. Our IT staffing group is an area we started 3 years ago because what we're finding is that IT groups, again, in this environment and in most environments, want to be able to do projects but maybe not put on full-time people. So outside of our EDCi staff, which does the project-based work, we also have long-term staffing opportunities that we can bring to you as well. Within our group, and as you look at what everybody's evolving to, if you're out there just trying to sell a piece of hardware, you're probably going to die very quickly. What EDCi is looking at is a full consulting services. So when we look at professional services, we look at assessments, design, installation, after-sales support, and how we can support you 24/7. And Dan Suda, who isn't here, is our VP of Professional Services. He has a whole team of project managers and such that can help you through all those different areas. So the other area we see, which is a huge growth area for us, is managed services. This whole idea and question of what's of value to your organization continues to change. And value, right, might mean I'm not going to sit and worry about patching servers. I'm not going to worry about patching routers and all these things that I do a couple times a year that just take value away from the business. The business value and what you're trying to deliver is how do we make the business more efficient, not just have busy work. So we're seeing a huge uptick in managed services and our ability to deliver those services to you. And then cloud services, which everyone is looking at. There's this big look today of, can I do it internally, or should I just need processing power, can I just go buy some VMs someplace, or hey, I need a DR site, what if I just go ahead and put that in the cloud? So we've partnered with a number of different providers to provide those cloud services and bring those opportunities to you. And again, this is more of a cost justification look or a speed look than it is, geez, I just want to get out of my data center. Very, very hot topic, one that we're on the forefront with. So I put this slide up here because it seems really busy, but it really is what EDCi is. And that is, we really look at from concept to support and how we're going to get you there. So when we come in, we hope we're looking different, we hope we're talking different, we hope we're doing things that can outline to you how we're going to take a project from start to finish and include managed services or cloud services, whatever those pieces might be. So we put up the ego slide. Is that a little blurry or is it just me? Can you guys see that? Boy. I knew I needed new glasses. Anyways, we have a lot of partners. Some of them are here today. This obviously isn't a full list, but we enjoy working with people and we love long-term relationships. So we put this up just to show you that we're expanding, we're growing. We had a huge year last year in 2011, and we continue to be on pace for record growth. So again, thank you. What I wanted to do is introduce Bill Rabb. Bill is our practice manager for our Citrix practice, and he's going to talk to you a little bit about that area.
What a great crowd. Thanks for everybody for showing up today, and it's going to be well worth it because this is maybe the 4th or 5th year now, Mark, you've come in for us, and it's always a great event, and it's good to hear from the vision from the top of where Citrix is going, and so we're very excited to have Mark with us today. What I wanted to do is I wanted to talk about, I am the Citrix practice manager, that virtualization practice we talked about, so I have responsibility for P&L responsibility and management responsibility for that team. And I think many of you know Wes. Wes, you're around here somewhere. There he is in the back. He's my partner in crime on the pre-sale side, helping architect solutions for our clients throughout the state of Wisconsin. And we do have a large pool of very qualified engineers, and we all know that this business is about the engineers and getting things done properly. And matter of fact, we just hired another one yesterday. So we're excited to have a new addition. His name is Eric Schneider, which is not this Eric Schneider, but your cousins, right? That's right. So small world, right? I want to talk a little bit about the value add as far as our Citrix practice. We are the largest Citrix partner in Wisconsin, and I measure that by the amount of clients we're working with and the number of engineers that we have. We have a very close partnership with Citrix, which is one of the reasons why Mark will spend this time to come in and visit with us because we are in lockstep with Citrix. We have dedicated resources within our practice to help you, everything from getting systems installed to, I was just talking to somebody earlier about cleaning up some renewal issues and budgets and so forth. So we've got a complete administrative staff. We understand all the Citrix promotions, so when we come in and talk to you, we're on top of what's new, making sure that you're not maybe doing a renewal when you should be looking at some other programs that Citrix just recently announced. So we stay on top of all that. We do have 10. We just hired today our 10th senior Citrix engineer. They're strategically located throughout the state of Wisconsin, so we can service you locally. And we have a 24/7, 365 level 3 help desk, which is a lot of people here in this room are taking advantage of, so that if you have any issues, well, we never have issues with Citrix, right? But if you do, you've got a level 3 engineer that you can contact and help you resolve your issues, like I said, 24/7, 365. And then obviously we sell and are very competitive with the Citrix products. Our practice goals are these are the types of services that we provide: strategies, assessments, architectural designs, proof of concepts, and sometimes we'll do those. Sometimes we'll work with Joel Piper, who's in the room here. He'll help us in the back. He's the Citrix direct field engineer, or we'll do them ourselves. So we're helping people a lot prove out the technologies. We help provide ROI analysis. And as Mark's going to talk about, not only total cost of ownership, but total value, right? That's going to be a big part of the conversation of Citrix. We do implementations, and then we do the post-implementation support. I mentioned Wes. Plug him again. Just a tremendous resource. And the nice thing about Wes as a resource is he's free and he's available to you. So if you're wanting to talk about next steps with Citrix, architectural designs, what other enterprises are doing, we offer this this service so that we can come in and sit down with you and look at your business and help you design solutions with a 3 to 5 year objective in mind. And we do understand the business impact of the technology. The engineers I mentioned, they're great engineers. They've been with us an average of 6 years and very senior level. And I think a lot of people in here will attest to the quality of our engineers when they're coming in and helping you implement the technology. We're also certified on all the Citrix products, so it's not like we just understand this one product. We're staying on top of the new technologies that Mark is going to be talking about that are coming out. We regularly send 6-7 people to the Synergy events, attend the engineering conferences, and so we're very much making sure that when we come in and talk to you, we know everything that's new and what's happening with Citrix products. We're also VMware certified. A lot of our implementations are running on a server virtualization environment with VMware, so our people are certified there as well as with the Microsoft products. And as Nick had mentioned, we have the IBM and the Cisco relationship. So when we're coming in and talking to you about Citrix solutions, whether they're virtual desktops, virtual apps, the cloud, et cetera, we can also tie in that, that network and Cisco and make sure that, before you take on these technologies, you're prepared with an infrastructure in place to help. And I talked about our 24/7 support staff. I don't need to spend any more time on this, but we do have people that are at the phones, in our practices, standing there waiting for your calls, and they're level 3 people, so they can generally help you resolve your issues quickly versus it just being somebody that's just taking a call, and so that's a really nice feature that we have within the practice. If you haven't participated in yet or attended, we do regular Citrix user meetings. We do them in Milwaukee typically, and Appleton right now is where we've been holding them. And these are your user meetings, so we take feedback during these sessions about what else do you want to see, what's new with the products. And so it's part of that belief we have in not only educating our engineers, but educating the community on all the new products and what's available. We'll bring in people like Joel will come in and do presentations for us, or bring in a security person from Citrix. We bring in different speakers or provide our own speakers for those. So look for those. If you're at this event, you can count on the fact that you're probably going to get a mailer for the next user meetings. And then we also have quarterly training classes. So again, part of that dedication to education is we bring professional Citrix coursework training local, so you don't have to, if it's inconvenient for you, travel to a site, and we do that a lot of times less expensive than if you had to fly out to a training center, because we can bring the engineer or bring the trainer in rather and leverage that. So that's another value add. This is an example of seminars and executive briefings. We do these on a regular basis, and today's a perfect example of that, where we actually have Mark in today, and you can't get any more executive briefing than that. So. We want to be your partner for choice for all your Citrix needs. We're very strong in that area. We're continuing to grow. We're seeing a tremendous adoption of this technology, and we're standing ready to help you out with that. Whoop, wrong way. Okay. So with that in mind, Nick, if you want to, we'll turn the speaker over to you. was always a tradition. We always, we ran out of sports teams. We can't get any more Aaron Rodgers jersey. He already has one. I'm sure you wear it every day, right?
Absolutely.
Brewers jerseys and so forth. So we were trying to come up with, and I know that we thought that, we know you like going to certain bands, concerts a lot.
Whoa.
You could wear your Harley jacket.
Man, I love that. Well, how about that? Isn't that great? Bill, thank you so
Hey, no
much.
problem.
And thanks to the entire EDCi team. Thank you for this. It's not the reason I come every year is for, my wardrobe, but it is icing on the cake, and it really demonstrates the kind of relationship and partnership we have. And I thank you so much, Bill. That's very nice. Thank you.
Mark.
Thanks. Whoa, that's great. I'm going back to Florida from here, so I'm probably not going to wear it this weekend, but California, I'm sure I can. Let me see if I can straighten this. Well, that's probably as good as it's going to get there. All right. And then, one of the things I've learned is one of the key tools that you need as a CEO is a clicker, a remote. So I've got my remote here, and let's see if we can. Did you move the file onto this?
Yeah, it's right there, Mark.
Is it fired up here? Just want to see if it, yeah, there it is. Okay, good. Yep, we're good. It's installing the device driver, which is a good thing.
There we go.
Let's see if this. All right, we'll keep our eye on that and see where it goes. So, good morning, everyone, and it's a pleasure to be here. We were talking a little bit earlier about being here in Milwaukee, and I kind of go way back coming to Wisconsin, actually before my life in the software business and at Citrix. I've been at Citrix almost 18 years, so it seems like there was no life before Citrix. But actually, in my early career, I was in the millwork business with a partner, and we had a factory down in Elkhart, Indiana, and we manufactured wood moldings, okay? And we sold about a third of those wood moldings pre-finished, stained. And that was a competency we didn't have. And so we had a partner in Madison that we would ship those moldings to him, and then they would run through their factory, and then we'd ship them on to our customers. And we'd come up maybe 2 or 3 times a year to have meetings, et cetera. And he had a little private plane, and he would fly us around Wisconsin in pursuit of the perfect and best brat, okay? And it was fun. So I got to see a lot of Wisconsin that way, and we tend to gravitate toward Sheboygan or West Sheboygan. It's so long ago, I can't possibly tell you the name of the place, but that's where we would gravitate to. And the question was, so how did I get from the millwork business to the software business? And the simple version is, when you're making really anything from a natural resource that's not perfect, like wood or poultry or farm products, et cetera, you have to sell everything. You have to, in the wood business, you have to sell absolutely everything, and you have to have the minimum waste possible. So long story short, I created, we were running this company and building it as a startup, and my partner said, hey, we need to do something about this to optimize the factory. And I said, okay, well, I kind of like computers, I'll go figure it out. And I came back and I told him, well, there isn't any software to do this. We can use spreadsheets, which we did for a while. And I said, okay, I'm going to write the software. And he said, do you know how to do that? I said, no, but how hard could it be? All right? And really, that's how I got in the software business, by jumping in the spirit of necessity being the mother of invention, and got smitten by software. And so that's how I ended up in it. And then I just decided, I told my partner, hey, I love this wood stuff, but I like software better, And sort of software was better than hardwood, because we actually made all of our moldings out of hardwood. And did this thing finish? Yeah, there we go, good. So that's kind of how I got here. and joined Citrix almost 18 years ago. Yeah, there we go. Almost 18 years ago. And it's been an amazing journey. The company was smaller than this group when I joined. And it's been, an incredible journey. And really the thanks around that journey are, really a couple dimensions. One is whatever you, sort of attribute luck and blessings to. So the things you can't control by any means. And then the other part is, customers and partners that actually benefit and see value in what you do and give you the encouragement to keep going. So that's really been the story of the last 18 years. It's been a lot of fun, and I've been able to see a lot of things. And this summer, I actually got a chance to take my family on vacation to the Amalfi Coast in Italy. So it's on the west coast of Italy, below Naples. So southern Italian, think southern Italian, kind of red sauce, and good food like that. So we were out on a little day boat cruising around, and we looked over the horizon. There was this sort of big boat out there, and so I said to my two sons, I said, "Look at that boat." And they said, "Dad, no, that's not a boat." It reminded me of this scene where they see the battle star, okay, and they basically said, "That's no boat. All right, that's a starship." And this thing was absolutely incredible, okay? So we got some interesting photos of it, and it was designed by Philippe Starck, who's quite a sort of edgy designer. And when it went on the water, I think about 2009, and really, was very controversial, but the more you sort of experienced it, actually the better it looked. And we ended up getting back to our hotel that night, and we did a little research because, what is this thing about? So we found out a lot about it, including some interesting statistics. So I want you to help guess what these are. So what do you think 394 is? Length. That's the easy one. Length. Yeah, 394 feet. Big, beyond a boat. 300. Height? Nope. Weight? Nope. Tons? Nope. Dollars to build it. $300 million. Okay? $300 million, all right? 24. This is the one my wife really loves and gives me a hard time about. Pardon? Bathrooms. Right direction, all right. 24,000 square feet of living space. That's not counting engine room, kind of all of the, All right. The second 24 is more for the guys, all right? What do you think? TVs. I love that one. No, maybe, I don't know. Horsepower, 24,000 horsepower to drive this thing, and it'll go 35 knots. All right, so that's fast. Okay, this one you'll never get, 44, so I'll just tell you, all right? It's the thickness of the glass to make it bulletproof, 44 millimeter glass, so that it's bulletproof. And you'll understand sort of why when you grok the last number. So what do you think the 38 is? It's actually the most depressing number of all. The age of the owner, okay, who's a Russian fertilizer and steel czar, okay? So I think to be a czar of anything, especially in Russia, in terms of fertilizer and steel, at 38 years old, you probably need a lot of things that are bulletproof, okay? And amazing ship and in design, et cetera. And we actually saw it, we were going to lunch, and here it is. It showed up in Positano Harbor. And by the way, sort of the just prior to this, there were 200-foot, 150-foot, 250-foot yachts out there in the harbor. It's a beautiful place. And this boat came, ship, and they all disappeared. All right, I guess, kind of whatever, being embarrassed that they didn't have a 394-foot boat. So, I told my children that, the lesson here, and it's a really good lesson, and it's a little bit funny, but it actually is quite true and very important, and that is, no matter how big yours is, whatever it is, okay, there's always someone with a bigger one, okay? And so, this is something to keep in mind, to always be thankful and always to be humble, right? Because, there's always someone with something bigger. And that is really, core to our value system at Citrix, and it's also, a way for me to, kind of express my thanks to all of you for your business and confidence in us over many, many years, and it's special to me. And it's the thing that gets us up every morning, where work at Citrix is spelled L-O-V-E, okay? So I really thank you for that. So what I want to do is, a couple things. First of all, make sure you understand the essence of Citrix, because as you think about us as a strategic partner and a long-term partner, because that is what we seek, not a transaction, okay, then I think it's important to understand, what a company is made of. And this is as succinctly as I can make it. And Citrix was actually started this way. I didn't invent this, with this formula. So most tech startups start with an idea around customers. It's like, hey, customers have this problem. I'm going to go fix it with some technology and some invention and IP. And certainly the company did that. But then the other thing that happened at the very beginning was a whole set of ideas around culture and what kind of company we wanted to be and what kind of people we wanted, on our team, and how we wanted to work together. Very explicit in terms of, and based on values of respect, integrity, and humility. And so this is the formula that we've nurtured for many, many years now. Citrix is 23 years old this year. And it is the foundation, because it's these things that get you through all kinds of, twists and turns and roads, because no journey of any kind, whether it's a personal journey or a journey, a flight or whatever, going somewhere is always totally smooth. And so, I think you always go back to these basic things, and if you never get away from them, your life, can be better. So this is what we're about. Creating employee value through a great culture that attracts good people, because good people do good things, and good people in a company attract good customers and good partners, and that's how you build on people. And then you point in the right direction with true care, empathy, and wanting to deliver value to customers, and you just do this over and over and over again, you get everything, all the outcomes you're looking for in a business, I think. Certainly, you could say equals shareholder value, which we don't actually worry too much about at Citrix. We worry about this equals achievement of the mission and vision that we have, and pride, okay, over a long period of time. So, our belief is about people, and about empowering people, and about making it easy for people and possible for people to work and play from anywhere, and to deliver this kind of experience this guy is having on this trampoline, okay? A moment of joy, of weightlessness, and in an authentic way, right? So the marketing department didn't supply this photo, by the way, I did, all right? Because this doesn't really have any marketing value, but it has emotional value that tries to communicate, what we stand for, and in this basic belief that we have, that's, long-standing, by the way, set of words. And, these missions, visions, big, hairy, audacious goal things that companies tend to have that are successful, they need to be almost timeless, almost unachievable, and providing huge amounts of headroom for growth and evolution over a long period of time. Unless you're in a more transaction-oriented, want to sort of build something, sell it, go on to the next, but that's not what we're about. So this is what we believe in. We do this sort of every day. And so in words, these are the words: to always be a caring thought leader ahead, providing the kinds of market-defining products and being acknowledged for that around products, services, that are all in solutions that are all about reinvention. And this is a time when we think reinvention is, on a huge upswing of how people work, of how we compute, all right, and how we do business. And being part of that reinvention in a thought leadership and market leading product kind of way is important to us. And we think, it's two big ideas: mobile work styles that are powered by cloud services. So this is, if you want sort of a statement of our sort of plan and our view of the world on a page, this is it. And we do that with a range of technologies that are on mobile and cloud, where at this end, where it's all about collaboration, empowering people and data and apps to be shared seamlessly to enable people to work anywhere. And at this end, the back-end systems that allow the services to power mobile work styles to be made anywhere, whether they're in a private data center or a public data center, whether they're a classic sort of app or they're a new cutting-edge modern SaaS app. We don't draw any distinction between those. And so this is how we view the world and how we are building solutions and products. So we have a product called GoToMeeting. It's number 2 in the world in collaboration. We're very proud of that. We're a new entrant in the data sharing market with a product we call ShareFile. Enterprise mobility is sort of the newest thing that we're focused on putting a lot of energy into. We'll talk about in a minute. Obviously, Windows and providing Windows as a cloud service is something we've done a long time. We haven't always called it a cloud service, but here we're changing the language to where the future is, and actually enhancing the technology so that you can actually spin up Windows apps and desktops as a service in a much more effortless way than you do today, even with our products. In cloud networking, we're number 2 in the world with our NetScaler product. And then we're a newer entrant in cloud platforms where we're trying to define the next generation cloud orchestration and infrastructure in the open source segment, which we'll talk a little bit about. All right, so this is what Citrix does. And as we reflect on all of this, really what captures the idea and really where we're going, because it's where we believe you're going, is the work we're doing in enterprise mobility. And I thought I'd sort of start there, and then we'll sort of add to that. And by the way, something comes up, stop me. Just jump in, raise your hand, whatever, stand up. Don't throw anything. Well, you can throw things that are soft or round, but nothing sharp. Okay, we can break and talk. So this is what I'm going to talk about. So this badge around enterprise mobility, it actually has a meaning. If you look backwards, the center of computing was all about Windows. If you look forward, it's about Windows and Android and iOS and HTML5. All right, this is a very different world looking forward than looking backward. Okay. So that's what that badge stands for. And so when we reflect on this, the way we build systems, package things, and the way we have to operate, I think, as IT professionals, changes radically, all right? And it moves from thinking about ourselves, in a monolithic way with Windows as a center of gravity, standardizing on back ends and front ends and devices, to really letting go of that and seeing ourselves as distributors and retailers of experiences for working mobile, all right? And doing that in a way where we can power that through some of our own services that we build and own, but also doing that and being able to bring together these new kinds of media types in terms of Android, iOS, HTML5, whether we build them or they're built by someone else. Okay, it's a big change. So a couple weeks ago, Gartner held their symposium and pulled this one, chart. Maybe it's a little hard to read from the presentation, but by the way, the first time they've done this, which I thought was absolutely marvelous. All right, so here's the 10 top 10 strategic technology trends for 2013. Mobile devices battles, hard to say. Mobile applications in HTML5, personal cloud. That's all about the end user and powering them. And then down here, number 10, enterprise app stores. You know, it's sort of part of all of that. And then obviously more, and the rest, more back-end kinds of things. But then for the first time, they've actually articulated this assessment of the impact, right, across the three fundamental dimensions. You know, human experience, end user, people, business experience, the value to business, all right, and IT department experience, kind of how that's delivered. So this lines up perfectly with our thinking about the reinvention of how people work, how we compute, and how we do business, all right? And so when it's all said and done, you know, our belief is to think and build mobile first, which really is actually flipping the formula over, because most of our systems today are built desktop first and Windows first. And so even at Citrix, we're, you know, practicing this. So when we get priority list and it's like, okay, we had a lot of competing priorities, where is it going to go? Well, we're going to prioritize up the Android, iOS, Windows Phone, et cetera, endpoint technologies at the expense of the others, as in desktop and backend, all right? So that's a sort of a fundamental mindset, and it's not about mobile devices, because mobile is not about devices. It's not about a smartphone or a tablet. Mobile is defining absolutely everything that we do, because people need to and want to, and there's huge value in being able to work anywhere. So it's actually a way of working, mobile work style, as opposed to defined around a device. So it's the corollary to something we've been saying for a long, long time, since we made this interesting video back in 2001 entitled The Virtual Workplace, right? So that corollary statement is work is not a place, it's something you do, okay? And, you know, mobile is not a device, it's a way of working. And it's a way of working that enables a lot of things, whether it's employee-led innovation in business, to, you know, being ready for a DR event, okay, in spite of the fact that you didn't, you know, plan for it, all right? Because if people work mobile, like in, other than obviously the cell network, the communications, you still have to have power, all right? We've been through this in Florida a number of times, and, you know, when the power's out and the communications are down, work doesn't matter at all. What matters is your life, okay, your family. So that's actually not a problem, in my opinion, all right? But then when that stuff comes back and still people can't get to the workplace, you know, a mobile infrastructure is enabling continuity and the kinds of trade-offs people make during that time, you know, to take care of family and business at home and also keep the wheels of progress working, running at work. There are a lot of other dimensions of value when it comes to mobile, like, you know, being locally mobile in your own campus, right? Being able to move seamlessly, including campuses that include the new modern workplace, that's about flex desking and more collaborative spaces where you get higher densities and occupancy rates, but you get better employee sat and a lot of those other things that are important. So mobile is really, you know, way, way beyond just thinking about devices and a mobile app and solving the BYO problem. All of those are related and they're under this umbrella, and that's why, you know, we're thinking mobile first. I think the message from Gartner is mobile first, and we would, you know, that would be my, you know, message to you as you think about the future, is to think mobile first. Here's some more evidence. So Cisco's Internet Services Business Group just finished a survey of 5,000 medium and large size firms, all right, and across the world, asking how many connected devices do people in your organization use on a daily basis. So you can see the total. Oh, by the way, that's should have said It's 2011, okay, and then 2014. And where do you think it's going to go? So today, and where do you think it's going? So everyone thinks it's increasing. Today it's 2.3 in total, going to 2.8. You can see the U.S. is pretty out there, 2.9 and 3.2. But despite what these numbers are, I think in the study, all the expectations are more and more devices, more and more personally owned, all right, to enable a lot of the things that I just mentioned, which are becoming more and more clear. Yes to IT organizations, but I think they're becoming more and more clear to sort of who we serve, and that's the executive leadership, the CEO, the CFO, the line of business leaders. And I think a great opportunity for us is to communicate this so that we can do something really important, and that is explain the value of IT and how the business realizes the value of IT, right? Beyond just a cost center and driving TCO, because that's interesting, but it doesn't have business value. It has business cost savings, right? So, interesting study. So when you look at who does this really well, all right, it turns out to be Apple, and they are the role model for the future. And so here in the foreground, mobile apps on iPad that are native and iPhone, desktop apps, through their through the OS 10 Mac OS, and then sourced by a store, whether it's iTunes or the Mac App Store or whatever. So that's how it all comes together. So this is a role model for all of us to use as we think about the kind of experience that we're trying to deliver, because no one would argue with the kind of experience that people get through this kind of approach to delivering value to people. And we see, by the way, Google doing the same thing through the Play Store and Android and kind of Chrome OS. We see Microsoft doing it now in earnest in the Windows 8 and Windows Phone infrastructure and services they're bringing online. So this is where the world is, and these are consumer approaches at a time when consumerization matters a whole lot to us, right? And so for each of them, focusing on a full Apple experience, a full Google experience, and a full Microsoft experience is important, and it's kind of what they're doing to tie all their pieces together so that I capture you as a customer with my brand and the entry point, and I keep you because I can deliver that kind of experience in my world, a Microsoft world, a Google world, an Apple world. That's the approach that they're taking, okay? And by the way, that approach is killing all of us because it's bringing more and more of these devices into the workplace. And it's accelerating. So I brought this Windows 8 device. So Windows 8, you take it, you put it on a legacy laptop or PC. It's like, it's not that interesting, all right? But it gets a lot more interesting when you see a piece of hardware that's designed around the experience. And we've seen, what HP's coming through with, and Dell, Lenovo as well. And it's going to get more interesting from here. Trust me. Okay. And so obviously it's turn it on. So it's a Windows 8 experience, and I log in and so forth, which I'll do here. And there you go, and I can get my personal stuff and Citrix receivers on here. Go to meeting share file, it's basically Windows 8. It's Windows, all right. But sometimes, and touch, and has a touch keyboard, so it's a sort of a tablet form factor. But then it's pretty light. But then when I need to do creation and more heads down, I can just pop it up like that. And so blurring the lines in every possible way in terms of touch, battery life, connectivity. You'll see these with 4G in them, just like an iPad, all right? miniaturization, making them thinner, making them lighter. That's the battleground, for the mind of the consumer. And some quarters or whatever period of time, Microsoft will be gaining ground. Others they'll be losing, and Apple will be gaining more ground. Google and those that are building around Android and Chrome OS, they'll be gaining ground. And what's happening is now, if you look at, especially in the last few months, all the announcements, Amazon with the Fire and Google with the Nexus and the new generations from Apple, Microsoft and this sort of Windows 8 onslaught, it's creating a new, and all the services behind them, it's creating a whole new set of consumerization issues for us. The way I think about it is we're moving from consumerization in more the classic sense to fragmentation, right? Where you can even be less certain as to what the device is on the other end, okay? So that's really important, and to understand that. And these guys highly focused on at life, but what we're focused on here is at work. How do we deliver systems and a mobile work style experience to people in a world where you don't know what device they're going to have. All right, that's the reality that we're working with, and so whether it's some of you that are here, I just picked up some logos here. That's really what we're trying to do: help you take advantage of a fragmented world and focus on delivering the mobile work style experience. In spite of the fact that there are security issues, there are device issues, there are connectivity issues, et cetera. So that's what we'll try to get at. So if you, first, frame of reference, think about all of these and how they're built, what makes them work. So first, app isolation. A lot of people, developers, really upset about what Apple and Microsoft have done around isolation. Why? Because they're trying to minimize crashes, apps stepping on each other, all right, and device management. Because when apps run in a sandbox, it turns out your need to manage the device is way, way less. I mean, Apple's not managing our devices. Like, why shouldn't we be learning from that and trying to get away from device management? Remember, the PC world, this is where we learned device management, all right? We own it, and so we're gonna lock it down, and then we'll build our stack on top of it. And everything we do at the low level, then through policies and frameworks and electronic distribution services, et cetera, cascades, gets pushed up, and so we're in control. But the world is flipped over, and Apple doesn't care about managing devices at all. Okay, so and it's because they've isolated apps. Second is they've acknowledged that apps need to actually play together. I mean, they do need to talk to each other. So the integration is managed, through some new kinds of technologies that are around security and permissions and so forth, so that they can play well together. So on an iPad, open with, all right, that's a managed interaction, all right. Similar technologies in Windows 8, all right, where Microsoft is sandboxing, and but allowing apps to talk to each other through a defined set of interfaces that are secure and won't crash the machine. Third is really paying attention to the design of the user experience, and that is through curated apps. So when you buy an Android device, all right, and you fire it up, it has a curated set of apps that deliver a default experience that is broad and that everyone enjoys and needs, right? And then through their store, they allow you to personalize and modify that for your lifestyle, right? So, a very important lesson, I think, from them. The fourth is content. So this is really, critical. So if you think of really what makes, what has allowed Apple to push out there ahead of really everyone first, is they combined horizontal and vertical integration in a way, they saw it first, they did it first, and they're out there first. So vertical integration is they own the hardware and all the software stack on the devices, all right? The horizontal integration is they own the experience at one end and the content at the other, right? And they're monetizing it. So movies, music, apps, TV shows, podcasts, university courseware, et cetera, content, all right? And they've horizontally integrated that, and it's relevant content. And that's the key thing, it's relevant, whether it's documents or web content or multimedia, and they put it together in this horizontal solution where it works end to end, all right? So this is as a user-centric service. So this is the inspiration, I think, and should be the inspiration for all of us, and certainly how we're thinking about what we build and what we offer to you as products and services so that you can be on this bandwagon. Because the problem is they have it easy because they assume Apple all the way through, horizontally and vertically, all right? Microsoft, the same thing. Google, the same thing. But you can't assume that because you can't control the device end, all right? And you don't want to, over time, control the services end. You want to be an aggregator of services. That's what we believed a long, long time. And so as you bring on SaaS services or third party, or have a partner that's going to, a managed service provider that's going to plug in a service for you, and so that you can focus on the services that matter, we think that's a big deal and really defines where computing is going. So, in a diagrammatic way, this is what it looks like. At the head end, there's a store where we shop, and we shop amongst curated apps and relevant content and valued services. There's a self-service interface, and there's also an auto-provisioning interface. So on the new update of iOS, all right, they added a couple of apps, and guess what? When you got the update, it pushed the new apps to you as well, all right? So think about this as self-service where we pull to personalize, and this end push to actually, automatically provision and get that default experience. And then on the device end, you have, they're all similar across the different form factors where you get the chance to select what it is you want in terms of the experience and how you work with it. So this is the basic architecture. So this is the architecture that has inspired us for a long, long time. And we're putting this together more and more into solutions. So solutions is kind of one of those words, can be a throwaway because it gets abused, all right? But the way we are defining this is a solution is equal to what people want to do. So typically what people want to do is usually what they want. So it's more about want than need, all right? And doing things is what we want people in our organizations focused on. So an example. By the way I got from millwork, all right, to pure software is I became an Apple dealer, okay, and with another partner. And in the early 80s, right after the Macintosh was launched, and this and the way we actually were successful is we focused on this solution that they call desktop publishing, okay? And at the time, everyone was using these big, expensive systems to produce beautiful documents. And what people wanted to do is create beautifully designed documents just like professionals did. But if you were in a university, a school system, a museum, if you were a hometown newspaper, a newsletter producer, you couldn't afford the CompuGraphic equipment, and you'd farm it out. And then what would happen is, you'd get all the stuff together, and you'd put it in the front end of the machine, and other than the cost and the time that it took to come out the other end was like that. So this was instant gratification, beautiful documents, and it had these multiple pieces that were required. It had this high-resolution laser writer printer connected to an AppleTalk network that had access to something called an HD20 storage device that then where you'd store beautifully designed documents using MacDraw, PageMaker, a lot of apps that ran on a Macintosh graphical operating system, okay, and platform. So this was the construct, and it was all these things working beautifully together that created the solution, right? And so this is, really an expression of how do you take devices with apps, connect them to data across a network to a set of services that, have the result of what people want to do. So this is how we're thinking about going mobile, where you start with a virtual device. That's the Citrix receiver. It runs on absolutely everything. A set of mobile apps, which we'll talk about, that are native and enable native mobile devices. Data, really important, being able to, apps and data go together and they have to seamlessly work across all these things. A delivery network, because everything has to be transmitted and fast, secure, et cetera, and then connected to storefront services, a place for people to get stuff, right? So this is what a mobile work style solution looks like, starting at one end where you don't have to care about what the device is, and at the other end, you don't really have to care about what service you put in it, whether it's native iOS apps or virtual Windows desktops or apps, and you don't have to worry about the data, okay? So this is now the frame that we'll talk about for the rest of the morning here. And it really is about mobile and cloud, mobile work styles and cloud services, and doing this in a way where you're device independent and cloud independent, paying attention to the capabilities that are important. So we'll start with mobile. People, go to meeting. If you haven't tried it, give it a shot. You can try it for free. It's now on the iPad, and it has a full HD video capability, and literally it's fantastic. I mean, we couldn't run Citrix without this product, and people can work anywhere. Just actually a couple weeks ago, we released the new iPad app that has all of that, but it also has presenter mode. So literally, you can set up meetings and present content from an iPad. So you don't need a PC, you don't need anything in the mix now, okay? And the way it works is it can read cloud documents, it can read URLs securely through the browser here, and you can have meetings with stunning video quality. So that's what we're doing there. Meetings are great, but they're tend to be events, and they tend to be synchronous. In other words, they're real time. But meetings lead to then, the full collaboration experience, tasks, discussions, activity, creating and accessing data, and then followed by another meeting. And so we have a product called Podio, and we're about a year in the market now. And it's a social collaboration tool for teams. And so if you're familiar with social, tools like a Yammer or something like that, this goes way beyond that. So it has, kind of social is a feature of stuff. It's not an app. That's our opinion, all right? And so this is actually a task and team collaboration tool that helps you sort of work that full cycle, and it's integrated with our data sharing and our GoToMeeting product. The next topic is consumerization. So I think we all see consumerization. So one of the guys came up with this idea. But what's given us a lot of headache is it's cowboy consumerization, right? Where people are bringing their own everything. And a lot of customers talk about it in terms of being a Dropbox problem. Whether it's Dropbox or whatever it is a problem. So one of our great newer products, again, we're about a year, it's about a year old now, has about 4 million users, is ShareFile. And it's basically provides a secure file sharing infrastructure where you can send, share, and sync. So it does all of that. Those are table stakes now, sending, sharing, and syncing stuff, all right? And gives it this follow me data experience across all the devices, but also across firewalls in a secure way. because we encrypt and transit, et cetera. It gives you full head-end control, remote wipe and locking. And then we just started shipping a new feature, and it's called storage zones. And basically allows you to choose where the documents and data is stored. So where we started was all cloud storage, all right? This allows you to add private cloud storage. So if you are in a highly regulated business, or your execs are paranoid about the cloud and storing things there, you know, there are a lot of reasons for it. This allows you to get all the capabilities of ShareFile, but the storage of the documents are where you say it is. And by the way, you can store it in a public cloud if you want. This enables that, so you can add your own, you know, rack space or, you know, soft layer or whatever, or your own data center. Okay, and the benefit here obviously is some level of security and compliance is a big deal, but putting files, you know, close to where users are. So if you have a global footprint, and speed of light matters, it allows you to, you know, create an infrastructure that's global, all right? And it's completely invisible to the user, by the way, you know, completely. So they'll, you know, if someone wakes up in New York and they're doing some work and, you know, storing and syncing and sharing documents, and they get on a plane and they fly to Tokyo, all right? If you have a data center there, it'll automatically, you know, connect there, and they'll get a real, you know, that really high performance experience there as well. So it allows you to build a global framework for docs. Okay, now apps. Obviously, we've done a whole bunch with apps with Citrix Receiver, and it's compatible with about 3 billion devices these days because it's available on all of these platforms. One of the more interesting experiences I've had, by the way, recently is the new Chromebook. And we have a number of customers that are using these Chromebooks. So the new one, the Wi-Fi version, is $250 retail. Okay, and you know, what's interesting about it. Samsung builds it for them, and you'd say, okay, it's a little plastic, you know, in terms of the build. But at $250, these things are disposable. One of our great customers in the UK, ITV, so they're you know, big television network in the UK. They actually have built vending machines for these things, all right, for contractors. They use a fair number of contractors. And so the contractor comes in, gets their credentials, all right, and they go to the vending machine and get a Chromebook, log into it, and they automatically provision everything, web and Windows, et cetera, and obviously we're, you know, providing a tremendous amount of infrastructure behind, and it, you know, works on 3G, Wi-Fi. The 3G version is imminent, so it's really interesting because it gets at, you know, a problem in terms of, yeah, I might want to own it and control it, but I don't want anything saved there. Okay, so. But I need to enable contractors, et cetera. So it's an interesting product. We've been working with Google for quite some time on that. So, and then, you know, allows you to work across the Mac, the PC, same experience, tablets, thin clients, smartphones, and now for Windows 8. So we're in the early release program on Windows 8, and so you can get the preview in the Windows Store. And you'll see this on a fast ramp as we go into 2013 in terms of its, you know, the robustness of its capabilities. But today, for delivering a virtual desktop, fantastic. And apps, it doesn't do multi-session yet, and some of those, you know, things that we'll be enabling. So it's there already. By the way, on the Surface, I think that was a photo of the Surface. Yeah, that on the Surface, or which is ARM-based, and it's also obviously available on the x86 as well. So we've done a lot of apps, millions, and Windows has been, you know, our focus, and that's because most of business computing runs on Windows these days. And looking back, but not looking forward, you know, Windows becomes part of the mix, right? And so as we think about the challenge going forward to create this mobile experience across these, we have to think differently, And if you like to think about standardization, which I think most IT organizations like to, all right, here's what you standardize. Here's your standard OS for the future, okay? All right, that's how to think about this. I'm standardizing on a hybridization of all of these things, right? So, and I'm going to add data into the mix because apps without data are kind of useless, right? It's like SAP. A lot of people say, well, let's see, what do you do about offline? Well, for line of business apps, is there any such thing as offline? Because I don't think SAP can work without the data in the back end, so you got to have a connection, right? And same thing goes here on the front end on productivity experiences. You got to have that, especially with the data. And so, Windows, great. We talked about ShareFile, great, but what about these other three? What are we doing? So as we thought about this, we thought, okay, native mobile apps and the challenges around security, provisioning, and compliance and control are unique, okay? So we actually had to invent some core technologies that are new. We call these technologies MDX, right? And I'll explain what they are. So if you look at typical native mobile app environment, maybe you have some set of apps here, some of them business, some of them personal. And the fact is they can all talk to each other, which is, by the way, the problem. That's what we're all worried about, right? I put my app out there, and you have the personal apps, and I can open with and copy paste, and and I don't know where anything's going. A document gets out onto a tablet or a smartphone, and it's in the wild. All right, that's the problem. All right, so and it's because they can all talk to each other in the prescribed way by Apple, Microsoft, or Google. So we invented these technologies that allow you to actually take each one of these apps that you care about and containerize them in their own bubble, okay? Doesn't change the app, but it containerizes them so then you can inject the kinds of policies that you want to inject so that you can then block the interactions that are not allowed, like I don't want access to the camera. I don't want to open my corporate documents in a personal document viewer, all right? I don't want to transfer documents from the corporate world into the personal world, all right? But I do want to let personal stuff come into the corporate world because people do work offline in some personal way. You want them inventing, but then when they bring it in, guess what? It belongs to us, okay? So that's the problem, and that's kind of the fundamental solution. So what this then allows is you to separate the at life from at work, okay? And not have a separate device, because the way we do this today is we separate devices. We buy the work device and give it to people, and then they show up with an iPad they got for, their birthday or something, all right? So this allows one device to serve both purposes without interfering with the at-life part. And obviously a key part of making BYO work, so that you're only touching the things that matter to you and managing their interactions. And so MDX, as I said, it containerizes. It actually enables an on-demand micro VPN. So apps that you put out there that need a head-end connection, it'll build a VPN in real time, okay, and then drop it. So you don't have a general purpose VPN on these things, which we think is an important security consideration. Gives you an ability to head-end lock and wipe both apps and data, control the inter-app communications in terms of security and control, and conditional access policies like, you can use this app you can geofence apps, or you can use this or app in this case or that case, or you can connect to this network, but you can't connect to that network, or this app is only allowed to run if you're connected to the corporate Wi-Fi, or those decisions are yours based upon your own view of the world and your policies. So that's what MDX is about. So what that allows you to do is put this full suite of capabilities around going mobile from Windows to iOS, Android, HTML5, and the data through a single unified point of control. And that's our Cloud Gateway product, which is just turning a year old on January 1st. So we have another release coming in December, release 2.5. So we're moving very fast here. And basically, Cloud Gateway works seamlessly with Receiver. It provides the storefront. It provides then what we call content controllers that allow you to plug in Windows and Android, iOS, data, et cetera. Includes all this MDX technology I talked about. And then in the sort of bottom of it, it has all of the infrastructure services for performance and security, whether it's SSL, okay, access control based upon roles and all that stuff. SSO, so it provides a single sign-on experience, as well as SLA monitoring and provisioning. And it also includes 2 new apps that are Citrix apps, all right? One is called At Work Web, it's for secure browsing, and the other thing is At Work Mail, it's for secure email, calendar, and contacts. Let's see, I think I have a, let me just back up here. So, At Work Web. At Work Web, it has MDX embedded in it. So you set the policies, including web filtering and all of those good things that you already have set up. And it allows people to go mobile, but use all your internal intranet apps. Whether it could be SharePoint at one end, all right, through a web, obviously experience, or at the other end, it could be, just a core intranet app that you've built to enable employees and everything in the middle. Again, leveraging the micro VPN that gets set up when people want to use an internal app. And then At Work Mail is really solving the problem of mail, okay, sort of consumer mail, when I need more control over the communications and the documents that get shared on email. Because email is still the #1 way that people share documents. So At Work Mail brings email, calendar, and contacts. It's Outlook, Exchange. It works with Exchange through ActiveSync. And you'll see it begins to integrate the experiences that we can provide. Not only does it do great mail and on Exchange, but it also integrates ShareFile, so for document sharing. GoToMeeting, so it's easy to set up and join meetings through email and so forth. So great integration. And then when you put this together with ShareFile, GoToMeeting, and Podio, we have a family for helping people go mobile and work mobile, communicating, collaborating, sharing documents, and giving access to everything needed to get work done. So, and that's what the solution is about. It includes all these products plus Zen app, Zen desktop, just plug right into it. Okay. All right, so that's sort of the front end. All right. So when I think of it, this picture is kind of a side view of the world. All right. So user is here, mobile, and we're here sort of at the back end, moving toward cloud. And cloud, in terms of not only, cloud is not a place, it's a way of computing. All right. So yes, there are places, and I think still a lot of people get confused about the word cloud. It's really more of a way of doing computing that is forward, modern, focuses on orchestration as opposed to administration, all right? And obviously hugely impactful for back-end services. So this is the side view. The front view, this is behind, and the back view, that is behind this. So it's what end of the telescope are you looking through, right? Okay, so talk about cloud services here briefly. So the first cloud service is Windows. I mean, it's the #1 sort of infrastructure we run most of our businesses today. Obviously, Zen Desktop has been extremely successful. #1 in desktop virtualization, a lot of customers, a lot of really large implementations. a lot of partners and certified products that work with it. And its big differentiation is it's beyond VDI, which is all about how to deliver a virtual desktop. It's about multiple ways to deliver virtual desktops and multiple ways to deliver virtual apps, depending on the circumstance, because not all users are created equal. And then the HDX experience, which is our on-the-wire technology for delivering a great experience. So, that's where we've been, and but the question is, where are we going here? And as we look, sort of into the cloud era, we asked ourselves a big question. And this was about almost 3 years ago now. If we started all over with desktop virtualization, like how would we build it? What would it look like? Okay, and so this is actually the answer to this is actually, well, we build it as an on-demand self-service. So it would be very elastic and be easy to scale it up and down. It would work on a global and include multi-site management as opposed to single-site management. It would have what we call cloud scale orchestration, so that capacity can actually run up and down, but to levels that really only see in cloud infrastructure, not in typical data centers. It would include easy billing and chargeback, and it would allow you to measure service levels in terms of availability and the quality of the service you're delivering. That's what it would look like. And if you look at sort of the current Zen app and Zen desktop, we have some of these qualities, but they're not what we would do in the cloud era. So we've been busy reinventing desktop virtualization the last 2.5+ years, which is really about delivering Windows as a true cloud service, all right? And we call it Project Avalon. And Avalon has actually 2 releases. There's the Excalibur release that is right now out in tech preview that you are welcome to go check out. And its focus is really, think about it this way, it's the cloudification of Zen app and Zen desktop. And it has a focus on simplicity. Instead of 22 consoles, how about 2, all right? And at the other end, on mobility, actually really transforming Windows in terms of the user experience so that it's designed for mobile and touch and so forth, all right? So that's Excalibur release. Then later next year, there'll be the Merlin release, which then puts 2 pieces around Excalibur that enables automation in cloud. I'll show you a picture of that in a second. So Excalibur, a lot of simplifications, new capabilities in HDX designed for mobile, incorporates Windows 8 very nicely, and runs on Windows Server 2012 and System Center. And then the Merlin release actually are the pieces that make it dynamic, self-service, and autonomic. So provisioning, on-demand provisioning, self-service, and automation. It's built on Cloud Stack, which is in production in more clouds in the world than any other cloud orchestration infrastructure. And then you can actually mix and match versions of Zen app and Zen desktop in this environment. So that's all I'm going to say about that. If you want to talk about that more, I'll draw some pictures or show you some other slides. All right. So Cloud Stack is the open source project that we are actually initiated, and it's now an Apache Foundation project. And what it's all about is building clouds Amazon style. So think of this as, if you were going to build a cloud that in the post-server virtualization world, okay? So forget hypervisors. Hypervisors are not clouds, all right? In fact, in this case, in most clouds have no hypervisors in them, believe it or not, okay? But in post-server world, you get a choice. You can use a hypervisor, or you don't, or you hybridize. You get to choose. So that's what Cloud Stack does, and it's got a lot of momentum in the open source community. lots of members, engagement. The biggest user of CloudStack has over 30,000 servers, in pods running, and generating over $1 billion in revenue for the companies that have built on it. So Zynga, all right, it's probably has the biggest notoriety. So they run part of their games in Amazon and the rest in something they call zCloud. zCloud is built on CloudStack, okay? And, I'm not supposed to tell you, so I won't, but they run a lot of their games on their own. It saves them money. So more and more they look at Amazon as a burst over and to, maybe try new things. And their zCloud is their production for, a huge part of what they do. So CloudStack. So CloudStack is embedded in our commercial product called Cloud Platform, which, you get support and updates and upgrades. It's hypervisor agnostic. If you like vSphere, go for it. If you like Zen Server, we love you because it comes with it. You like, Hyper-V, we love you too, go for it. KVM, same thing. And then it has native NetScaler integration because a cloud that can't deliver, all right, over the network and all is probably not very useful at all. So some announcements there. And then the last is in this deliver area, and that's the NetScaler. So about 9 months ago or so, we announced NetScaler 10, which has a tremendous number of new capabilities, cloud-to-cloud connectivity, some new areas of things that we've done around elasticity, expansion, some exciting things around app layer visibility so you can see what's happening on your network at the layer 4 through 7. We introduced something called Tri-Scale technology. And Tri-Scale allows you to scale in these dimensions, up, in, and out. So, basically technologies that give you lots and lots of flexibility around scale, whether you're a smaller customer and implementation or, you're out here where scale out, you're a service provider and scale out is important. The big news from a couple weeks ago is part of our consolidation of layer 4 through 7, not only strategy, value. So now the NetScaler platform can now run third-party services. So in this picture, if you look at this picture, so here's the SDX platform. You can run up to 40 instances of NetScaler on it, okay? Simultaneously, they're virtual instances. And through these partnerships with third parties like Palo Alto Networks and Aruba, Splunk, Trend, et cetera, you can add other layer 4 through 7 delivery services to the same infrastructure. So this gives you a consolidation of everything that's above layer 3. So you have fewer devices, they're better integrated, less management, headaches, et cetera, and you get and everything gets access to what's going on at layer 4 through 7 through the SDX infrastructure, because obviously the throughput of these, the throughput of SDX, you can cluster 32 of them together, and it'll push through 1.4 terabits of data per second. Okay, so this is what Google, Amazon, eBay, Yahoo, Apple, IBM, all the big betting sites in the world, all the big sports sites, ESPN, anywhere where they have huge web apps. Now, this is what you find there, okay, and why. Okay, we also made an important strategic announcement with Cisco, extending our partnership with them. So about 1.5 years ago, we started working together. They had an initiative called EDCi, Virtual Experience Infrastructure, and obviously, we're working hard on Zen Desktop and desktop virtualization. So we joined forces, created a blueprint to build out great desktop virtualization infrastructure on Zen Desktop, plus Cisco's UCS platform, plus obviously all their networking infrastructure, with NetApp as a storage partner, okay? And it's been very successful. I mean, we have quite a few customers, many actually with over 10,000 users, and Zen Desktop has become, in the enterprise, the #1 workload for UCS. And Cisco just, I think, took over the #1 spot in market share for blades. All right, so, and that was starting from scratch. So, and UCS is unique. There's no doubt about it. You know, if you haven't looked at it, you should check it out because it is definitely unique. So as partnerships go, if you have success, how do you extend that success, especially when everyone's getting along and it's working quite well for customers and for the partners? So that's really what we did. So we extended the partnership in 3 places. So the desktop virtualization partnership has moved to the mobile space. And Cisco has technologies like Jabber and WebEx and those kinds of things and other projects they bring to the table, and obviously you can see what we bring to the table there. So that kind of takes the desktop virtualization partnership to the next level. The next area is in cloud orchestration. So as cloud and infrastructure as a service gets built out, primarily through service providers right now, offering them a turnkey solution for infrastructure as a service is what we're doing. So it really is UCS, okay? It's Cisco's networking technologies in the transport layers, as well as partnership with NetApp, all right? And it brings the whole FlexPod idea to the next level and designed for service providers because we're integrating everything above that NetScaler and cloud platform with the compute, storage, and networking, okay? And we've already had 3 really amazing wins. 2 telcos, BT in the UK, Bell Mobility in Canada, and the University of São Paulo in Brazil. So, that's that part of the partnership. And then, the third part is in cloud networking. So you probably have heard a lot of noise around software-defined networks. And, both Cisco and Citrix share a common view on what the network of the future looks like, which has hardware and software and doing what they uniquely do best, and is a layer 1 through 7 network. So if you look at what the SDN technologies do, they're really layer 1 through 3 technologies to provide a software control plane to commoditize the underlying networking hardware, okay? And so the layer 4 through 7, where that's going is ADN, application-defined networking. Because the holy grail is to turn on an application and let it define the network autonomically based upon the policy, kind of what you set up when you set up the app, right? And then the opposite's true. Part of the holy grail is you can never get it perfect, and so you want the apps to be able to understand what's going on and get the data pushed up, from the control plane at the transport layer so that apps can reconfigure themselves, like if you move them from one data center to another, or if the service levels that you want change, et cetera, okay? So that's what we're doing with Cisco, sort of ADN plus SDN, leveraging Cisco One and everything they're doing around converged network infrastructure, and then leveraging our strength in layer 4 through 7. It also includes Cisco's recommending NetScaler for layer 4 through 7. This is an area where they've been reducing or eliminating their investments, and partnering with us is, we have a great portfolio there. And so if you're using Cisco ACE, for example, for load balancing, they'll continue to support that, but they'll also say, hey, if you want to move forward to application delivery controllers, all right, which consolidate SSL VPN, load balancing, app firewalls, compression, caching, kind of all those things that happen at the higher layers of the network, then they'll be recommending NetScaler to you. So key part of the partnership. And then a lot of technology exchange and making sure we integrate in a way that makes it easier for you. So that's, the announcement, and a lot of excitement around it, and, we'll have, more to say about it in 2013. So that's the blueprint across these 6 incredible spaces that start to address the reinvention of work, compute, and business. And an example I like to use, if you think about your life and life, let's say 10 years ago, work was a place, and it was something that we did in a defined period, at a defined period of time. So we had our life in a place in a period of time, and our work in a period of time. All right. So and still a lot of people work this way. Like if you're manufacturing something, that's this is still how you work. But over the course of time, we've seen this actually, that through technology, through lifestyles, through cultural change, through competitiveness, through a reach for productivity, there are a lot of dimensions of this. We're slicing work and life in more granular ways so that we can have a slice of work and a slice of life in an on-demand kind of way. And whether that means the time of day, which this picture, suggests, or it means, across devices, or across locations, or across physical boundaries, including corporate boundaries, it means all of that, having that flexibility to have a seamless experience. And so what the goal here is to create harmony across all of that, and harmony defined not only, so it's not about work-life balance, it's about work-life harmony. It's an important, I think, distinction, and it's a distinction that is, that doesn't sort of put a judgment on, when someone says, how's your work-life balance? I start to sweat, okay? Because, you're supposed to say, hey, it's nicely balanced, and, I spend half my time working and half my time with my family, whatever the number, needs to be, but that's not the case, right? I mean, I love my work, and so is it balanced? Probably not in any numerical way, but there's harmony, because I can work anywhere, okay? And I can, take it or I can leave it, I get to choose. So this is, kind of an important element to us, and that harmony is about having continuity, okay? So, if you use Netflix, it's a great example, right? You can start a movie on a smartphone, pause it, go to a tablet, start it right where you left it off, then go to a TV, and it's like, that's continuity, right? So and we're trying to deliver the same continuity of experience across devices and locations and apps and types of data, boundaries, where we have to actually work with people that are outside, our corporate boundaries, and even, cultures, because as we, work with customers around the world, how people think about work and life is different. And by the way, there are laws that define, in certain countries like Germany and France, there are, laws that define those things. So, this allows you to be respectful of those things as well, but yet provide continuity. So, just the last couple of thoughts here. So, most of you probably are, thinking about Citrix in the classic way around desktop virtualization and virtualizing Windows, which is okay. And, what we've seen over the years is, most customers start here, all right, with virtual apps and desktops, doing projects, okay, that are very valuable, that are about TCO, or the cost of ownership around apps and devices, and that over time, customers end up here, seeing this technology as strategic business infrastructure. I'd like to say that most of our customers are here, but I think actually most are still to the left here. So from a company point of view, whether it's desktop virtualization or it's all these new things I've talked about, we're trying to be a strategic partner of yours. I mean, in the end, that's our goal. And that means long-term, and it means doing the things that help you transform. That's what it means to us. And so So the process here will tend to look like this. If you start with projects and you learn, okay, yeah, I got better TCO on this particular app or this particular user population. And hey, this is great, the security is better because I get granular access control. And you learn that, and this is the value discovery. And then, hey, you know what? We needed to put thin clients in, or we put new desktops in. Boy, it was really easy to migrate, all the stuff running on this Citrix infrastructure. So a lot of discovery there. Since the iPad came out, this whole notion of BYO, and hey, we can do it. Yes, we can do it, and it's secure. All right. It's not a native mobile experience, but it's better than no mobile experience, because using a Windows desktop on an iPad, or apps on an iPad that weren't built for touch, has its limitations, but it's better than none. And then there are some places where it actually is quite good. And work shifting in terms of moving work, whether it's because of DR, or because you're doing more offshoring and outsourcing, so shifting work where you want it to be. So mobility, a big driver. And then leading to then, the tipping point where, oh, wow, because of this infrastructure, I can actually make business change lower cost and faster, okay? And so that, and this is what gets learned starting at sort of desktop virtualization at that end, and more about this sort of more profound, I think, and holistic definition of mobility, which I think, really gets at this. So when I think of mobility, I think of this, and the easiest way for me to communicate to you how to think about it in a holistic, sophisticated way, where you can actually justify the costs, to the CFO, et cetera. And it's really about changing the cost and velocity, all right, around an add, move, and a change, all right? So most IT organizations can figure out what an add, move, change costs. So we had one of our bank customers come in. They said, well, 3 years ago, before we did the standardization on the Citrix infrastructure, we had 100,000 add, move changes in the year, and it cost us $100 million. And that includes like M&A, moving people from entities, all right, reorganizations, all right, open up branches. I mean, it's the general, it's all of that, all right. And this year, they're going to have a similar, the estimate, a similar number of add, move changes, $25 million. Okay, and so when do you move people? Well, in M&A, all right, outsourcing and offshoring. You move the work, maybe not the person, all right. You when you have like the superstorm that hit the Northeast, all right, people you have to deliver the work to their home, all right. So workforce continuity events. If you're redesigning your workplace and you want flex desking, it's like you can't do it with, without a mobile approach to things. So then people aren't hard-coded to a particular place, like a specific office, right? A lot of examples like that. Reorganizations, another big one we hear about all the time. And if you think about those, using real estate more effectively, retaining employees more effectively, all right? Because the cost of real estate and the cost of onboarding and training, and so imagine those numbers. So you connect to those numbers as opposed to, I was doing this yesterday and now I'm going to reduce the cost of doing it today through TCO. TCO still matters, but you're not going to get transformation through a TCO mindset. You'll only get it through a TVO mindset, total value of ownership. So, our goal is, all these great technologies and, always putting them together in ways that allows us to be greater than the sum of our parts to you, including our products, technologies, services, and those of all of the partners and people that stand behind everything that I'm privileged here to be able to talk about. And that's how we go from believing in a world where people can work and play from anywhere, to creating that world, which is a process, which is a big, hairy, audacious goal that we're signed up for many, many, many years. So that's what I had to say this morning, and hopefully helpful to you to understand kind of how we see the world, how we can help you, and hopefully it stimulates some conversation as well, which it always does.